What's up, everyone? Welcome to Rex Engine. Hope everyone is having a beautiful day. Rex Engine 1.59 came out earlier this week, and it's got some pretty awesome new features in it. This particular one has been one that's been requested for a long time, so I'm really happy to finally have it out there for you guys. And that is the ability for different sub-weapons or different attacks to use completely separate pools of bullets or weapon energy or magic points or whatever you want to call it. So now you can do this, FPS style, where you would have different guns that would all have their own ammo reserves, or Mega Man style, where every sub-weapon has its own sub-weapon energy bar. So the way this used to be was that the player would have one bar for sub-weapon energy, and that was it. Every other attack they had would draw from the same pool of weapon energy. So now having the ability to separate those out, so everything, it can draw from the same pool if you want that, or they can all have separate bars. So I'm going to show you guys how to set that up here. So just to show you guys what we're working with, I've just got the default player prefab right here. Nothing has changed from the way this guy is out of the box. And he's got a few different sub-weapons. He's got the pea shooter. And you can see his magic points are up here with this heart in the upper left. It's at 28 right now. Let me see if I can get that. Okay, just a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So he's at 28. So the pea shooter doesn't take any weapon energy. I'm going to hit the I key, which is the default binding for toggling between weapons. So the next one, we've got this little spike ball. And that guy takes 4 weapon energy. So you can see this meter is going down by 4 every time I shoot that. I'm going to toggle one more time, and I've got this boomerang here, which also takes 4. And as soon as we exhaust the energy, we can't fire anymore. So right now, these are all drawing from the same pool. We noticed that whether I was using the spike ball or the boomerang, the same magic meter was going down every time. So if I look under, these attacks are under player, attacks, sub-weapon attack set, because they're all part of the same set that can be toggled between. And then under that, we've got the pea shooter, we've got the boomerang, we've got the spike ball. You'll notice under boomerang and spike ball, in the inspector, those have a field toward the top. It's slots MP. And that slot is where you put in the weapon energy. So right now there's nothing in there. So if we hit play, what happens and what happened in previous versions of Rex is that gets slotted automatically with the player's default base MP pool. So we can see this has got slotted with something. If I click on that, that's going to ping player energy MP. So this is what's getting slotted there by default. And that's just the player's generic weapon energy pool. This is the one that gets shared between everything. So as long as you leave this field blank, as long as you don't slot in a separate MP pool under energy here, it's just going to use the default one, and everything is going to draw from the same pool. So what we want to do now is let's give the boomerang and the spike ball their own separate pools. Or let's let the spike ball, let's let one of these draw from the default pool, and let's give one of these their own unique energy bar. So this is going to be a really easy process. Basically, we're trying to work towards having another thing to slot in here so it doesn't get slotted with the default MP. So I'm going to click on the player's MP. This is the default one. This should come on their prefab by default. All that is just an energy component. It's got a slot for a bar prefab, which is the prefab that displays the energy. We've got the current, the max amount, all the typical stuff. I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to copy and paste it. So the player is going to have a new child here under player energy. I'm going to rename this MP boomerang. Let's give this just a different amount, so it's not 28, so we can tell the difference. I'm going to give it 50. And let's give it a slightly different prefab for the bar, so we can tell the difference at a glance. So right now we can see this is pinging in the project panel, this player MP prefab. all this is just the text and the little heart icon that displays the weapon energy. So we can look at this. I'm just going to keep this almost the same, but I'm going to move it to the right a little bit, just so it doesn't overlap the other one. So we can see here, if I click on that, it has the Rex UI anchor script. All this is something that Rex Engine's using to tell it where to anchor itself on the screen. You can use that or not use that. You can position this with any layout or any UI tools you like. Really, at the end of the day, this is just a graphic. So position that as however you want with whatever components you want. I'm just going to use the Rex UI anchor because that's already there and it's pretty easy. So I'm going to copy that, rename this player MP boomerang, and I'm going to make this, I'm going to leave it the same mostly, but I'm going to move this further to the right. So instead of being 1.25 units from the left part of the screen, now it's going to be 6.5 units from the left part of the screen. And I'm going to drag that into my project panel just to save that prefab. Kill both of those. I will go back to the player, pop this guy open. Okay, so on the player, we've got this field for the MP boomerang. Right now, the bar prefab is using the old player MP. I'm just going to slot that with the new player MP boomerang prefab that we made. Click on the boomerang. And now, rather than leaving its MP field blank, I'm going to drag and drop the new MP boomerang onto this boomerang attacks slots MP fields. So now when we test this, we should have separate MP pools for the boomerang versus everything else. So let's see, right now we've got the pea shooter. It's still using his default weapon energy. That's a 28. Toggle to the spike ball. That one is still using the default pool. Toggle to the boomerang, and we can see this new MP pool. It's further over to the right. It's got 50 to start with. That one shows up because we're now equipping that weapon. So let's fire the boomerang. So we can see now that took 4 energy off of the new boomerang MP pool, and it left the earlier one, the player's basic MP pool, completely alone. And that's really all there is to it. You can do that for as many attacks as you want and give them all completely separate weapon energy bars. And another new feature in this version is there's the ability for weapon energy pickups to only restore energy for certain attacks. So let me show you guys that really quick. I'm going to go into Rex palette, create something from gimmick, or actually from power-ups rather. And I'm going to give an MP restore large. So again, this is just the default generic weapon energy restore prefab that comes with Rex. You're welcome to make as many different ones of these as you want, skin them however you want, etc., etc. So if I look at this weapon energy power-up script in the inspector, we've got all this stuff here. We have the amount of energy it restores, and we have this thing here. We have the energy tag and the refill type. Let me drag this in a little bit so it's not getting cut off. There we go. Under refill type, there's refill all weapons, refill matching tags, refill all active, or refill all active with matching tags. So what this does is this is going to make it so you can choose what weapons this restore power-up refills. So all weapons is self-explanatory. It's going to refill every weapon on your character. Refill matching tags is going to look for the name of an attack. So for example, on the player, we have their attack boomerang, for example, or pea shooter charge, or spike ball. So if we typed in on this refill, let's say we only wanted this to restore boomerang energy. I'm going to type in boomerang because that's the name of the attack, and choose refill matching tags. So the next thing we need to do is set the same energy tag from this power-up. So again, that is boomerang. And we need to put that on the energy component that we're using for the boomerang under the same field, energy tag. So this is set to boomerang, and our refill is set to boomerang. So let's try this out. So I'm just going to drain the default weapon energy a little bit. So the spike ball energy, let's take it all the way to 0. Toggle onto the boomerang. Drain that to 38. So now what we should see when we click, or when we move onto this power up, is this should only refill boomerang energy. There we go. So in this manner, you can set up weapon energy to only refill certain tags, or let me drag that back again so it's not getting cut off. You can also refill only the active power-ups, so this is only going to do the power-ups, or the attacks rather, that are enabled on your player currently, or only the active ones with the matching tags. So you can use that, for example, if you've got like a Mega Man setup where the player is constantly switching between power-ups, and if you want the weapon energy to only refill the one that's currently active, then you can do that too. So you've got plenty of options with this new system. So I hope that was helpful. I hope this gives you guys lots of options for your games, and I will talk to you guys next time.